Hi, I'm Leanne Ely. I'm a nutritionist, a New York Times best-selling author, and some people even say I'm a life coach. I started the Daily Dish Show to share my story, my truth, and my journey to vibrancy, and to inspire others to do the same. Because it's all about grit, perseverance, and finding a way despite the odds. It's about embracing the whole woman, not just the parts that are easy to love, and feeding her heart, mind, body, and soul. But I found that this isn't just my story, it's your story too. It's go time. This is the Daily Dish. It is the Daily Dish, and today's Tuesday, so you know what that means. Live show. Hello, anybody who's here. I know. We'll see everybody kicking in. Here we go. There's Jeanette and Helen already. Yay! Anyway, what a great day it is. It's kind of, I don't know what your weather looks like. We have had some Arctic cold. And I know it's colder where Jenny, I don't even want to talk about where Jenny's living through right now. It's a lot colder, but we are here in the mountains of North Carolina, and I am used to cold weather, but we've had some just blasts of cold. So today, what we're going to do is we are going to be talking about breaking free from limiting labels that we put on ourselves. And oftentimes do we find in the teens, Helen, oh my goodness, that's so cold. It's interesting. And I want to talk about this. Anne says, hi from the frozen tundra. I want to talk about this because I kept saying to myself all week, I don't do cold. I'm allergic to cold, or I hate this cold so much. And I put my thoughts and my energy and everything else on this whole idea of how cold I was. And why do we do this kind of a thing? I will tell you, we love a good label, don't we? We do love a good label. And that's why I want to really dig into this stuff and start unearthing this propensity toward labeling. Okay? That's what we're going to be talking about today. I think it's a good one. I need this. And I'm thinking, perhaps you do too. Also, Caroline, my daughter, is on her way over. And we are going to be doing a lot of videos. We are going to get them up on Facebook as well as having them on TikTok, etc. We have lots. We need to just pump out the content. We're doing that. Susan Fritsch Raish in the house. So good to have you here. Thanks for showing up. Anyway, we have that. We also have a surprise journal coming in. It's different than anything you've seen. We are so excited about it. The dream team, of course. Put these ideas together, and then of course Miss Creativity herself, Amber, was all over it like white on rice, and we will be getting the sample in shortly, but I'm excited about this. There's going to be I just can't wait to share it all with you. Chris, hello, all the way from California. So I can't wait to share it with you, but I'm not going to share it with you yet. I'm just going to get your taste buds going because it's really going to be incredible. Can't wait for it. It's nothing we've ever done before, but I think it's really going to set the table for an amazing year for you. Okay, we've got that. The other thing that I'm just going to tell you right now, three things, is our waters. We're doing a whole line of waters, and the reason why we're doing that is because how easy is it to drink the nutrients that you need? In my container right now, I have Crave. I believe it or not, I've got over 40 water, and I have Crave water as well. They both taste great, and I'm getting everything that I'm needing. I mean, it does amazing things to your energy levels. So this is something that's very cool that you need to know about. savingdinner.com/40 for over 40 water, and savingdinner.com/Crave water for Crave water. Also the Crave powder. Now, if you think, if you're going through the whole cravings thing, I'll tell you what, you should go to savingdinner.com or /control and get both of these at the same time, the Crave water and the Crave powder. Crave water, of course, you drink. Crave powder, you put it in the dish. You know the drill. Put it on your finger, dip. It just takes that inkling of a craving, wipes it out just that fast. It really is amazing. So yes, your over 40 water can. And we had you know what? We had label situations. I mean, ask Jenny, how many label contracts did we have to sign? We kept having problems with that stupid label, but it's there. And Sue, I can't wait to get your feedback on it. Just watch how you feel. In particular, 5 grams, well, that's what's in it, 5 grams of creatine. Creatine is an amazing substance for women. We got to be on this stuff, the science that's coming out now for, they call it the anti-aging. I say it's pro-aging because it's helping us to live better lives. Just, it's incredible what's out there. And the things that we can do, the things that are in the power of your little hands, your fork, your supplements, the way you live your life. We have science now to back us up and to help us so that we don't end up old and decrepit and not whatever. No, the over 40 water doesn't take place of some of the other supplements. It's going to enhance some of the other supplements. So for example, if you are taking beauty support, this is going to enhance your beauty support. Creatine, this is not a replacement for anything. It just comes in there. The 5-HTP that's in there, and what else is in there? The 5-HTP. What else? Goodness gracious, why am I'm written so much about this, and how come I'm not remembering? Is beyond. Oh, and the L-tyrosine. Those are going to help with mood stabilization. Hello, I need that. So these are all things that. Yeah, and there's a little ACT oil in there, of course, and the HTTP is 5-HTP, which is crazy good for mood, and also later on metabolizes and helps you sleep. I've noticed my sleep has really improved. So check those out, because I really, we stand 100% behind our products. Start using them a little bit diligently and see how it works. As a matter of fact, one of the videos I'm doing today is showing you how to work through some hydration without having to just drink water. So I'm excited about that. Anyway, that's all I'm going to tell you. Yeah, you'll like it, Sue. The quote of the week is a really good one. Jim Carrey. Now, Jim Carrey I found to be very, very inspirational with his story about being paid $10 million to be an actor. This is when he was, I think, like living in his car, and he wrote himself a check for $10 million and put it in his wallet. And he dated it. I can't remember. Was it 5 years from the date or whatever? And that's when he got that movie. What was it? Twins or something, where he was Dumb and Dumber. That's when he got that. And he got paid $10 million for it. And I love that, because that was one of my first introductions to manifesting the life that you want by changing your behavior and writing out your own story. And so I love that story. And so today, what we're going to do is we're going to be talking about, as we talk about breaking free from labels, this is something that Jim Carrey taught us. Instead of seeing himself as a broke, out of work actor practically living in his car, he saw himself as a movie icon. And he basically made that happen, didn't he? He made it happen. So today we're going to be talking about breaking free from labels that hold you back from being the kind of woman that you're supposed to be, fully bloomed, living vibrantly to the next level up. And the quote of the week happens to be Jim Carrey. Risk being seen in all your glory. Now, when I hear that, it just makes something inside of me rise up. Today, I play pickleball. Of course, today I play Monday through Friday, and sometimes I play on the weekends as well. But I played with a group of girls, and this was the group that I was really intimidated to play with. And I started my day with a meditation, and the meditation was a courage meditation. And I thought to myself, as I was doing this and saying, well, I'm like the lowest one on the totem pole there, I thought, no, I'm not going to start seeing myself and labeling myself as such. Instead, I'm going to go and say, This is my community. I'm a part of this community. This is what I can do next. And I will play just as well as I can. At the end of play, one of the gals, the one that used to absolutely intimidate the daylights out of me, said to me, Leanne, you play spectacularly. That was a mindset piece that shifted with me today, big time, in a big way. And I want to talk about that because I know how often we walk around with these labels all over us and we don't even realize that we've done it to ourselves. So, but we do love a good label, don't we? Right? We love a good label. Do you remember those label makers that they had? I remember buying one of those when I first, in my first little home office that I had, and I was just new. Saving Dinner was new, and I was doing all these things, and I had book contracts and all this stuff, and I got to get organized. So I run to the Home Depot or the Office Depot or whatever, and I buy the label maker. That was $65 at the time. I labeled everything. But I want to just tell you a little something about labels. Labels are helpful. But labeling everything didn't automatically make me more organized, which I thought it would. It just helped me to know what's what. So keep that in mind. And we do like a good label. I mean, how many of you are going to go into a grocery store? I'm not talking about one of those discount places where they got the scratch and dent stuff. I'm talking about your, Harris Teeter, your Kroger's, your Wegmans, whatever grocery store. You are not going to go into a grocery store, go up and down the aisles and see anything with a missing label. It won't happen. You wouldn't buy a can of something with a missing label and say, let's see what happens. Who knows what's inside of there? It could be dog food. It could be, horrible peas. It could be something, dreadful. Or we can start looking at something like medication. Would we take a medication that has a missing label and it says it's this? It's sort of, you can decipher some of it, but you can't all the way. No, of course not. There are times when we need labels. They're important. They precisely name the thing that you're needing, that you're trying to produce. Like if you're cooking from a recipe or whatever, it's necessary. So that's the good part of labels, right? This is something that we know what to expect. But there's a side of labeling that doesn't have your best interests at heart. And the worst person that does it oftentimes is you, labeling yourself. So I wrote this I got all this stuff from my journal too, by the way, because it was weird when I was having all these thoughts about it. And then I had my meditation this morning about courage and getting rid of the labels and just, being a part of, instead of saying, I'm this, othering other people, as they say. Instead of doing that, I got out my journal and I started writing about it. And I wrote a part that said, sometimes you label yourself into a corner. You label yourself into a corner. Hey, Martha and Jocelyn, it's so good to have you here. Have you ever done that though? You've labeled yourself into the corner. I can't do that. I'm a morning person. I'm not a morning person. I can't do X because I'm this type of a person. Have you ever done that? I'm too old to chase my dreams. I'm not creative enough. Those are labels that we slap on ourselves to limit ourselves, to limit our potential, and to stifle our dreams. We do this, and we do it on the regular. We do it for years. We do it newly. We're like, oh, well, that didn't work out, so therefore I'm not this type of a person. And we give up too easily, and it's all because of these horrible little labels that we put on ourselves. So if we understand that these self-imposed labels that we put on ourselves can also become self-imposed prisons, then guess what? We limit your potential, we hinder your personal growth, and guess what? We don't go to that next level, and we stay where we are, or worse, we slide backwards, and we're frustrated as all get out. I mean, that is me. I can attest to that. I have done it. I felt it. I have lived it. and we need to start doing it. So let's understand what the power of labels are all about. Again, they can be self-prescribed or others can put it on you. I read, oh gosh, I don't know where it was. I think it was on TikTok, but somebody who was talking about this one teacher who said, you will never, because you are an X, kind of labeling this person that they can't do something. And that person believed it forever and ever, amen, until one day that was completely proven wrong. So if we understand that we can self-impose or they can be imposed by others, what is important is our belief system on what we believe about ourselves, what we believe about the human and potential. And I say that because if we just focus on our potential, then we're always going to be saying, well, except for us, we're going to be pushing ourselves down. But if we understand that human potential is almost boundless, almost. I mean, of course, you can't, make yourself an NBA baseball player, for heaven's sakes, or something like that, but almost boundless if we only step away from the labels. So, if you think about it, what do labels do? But they give you a convenient shortcut so that you can categorize yourself and you can also categorize others. Because let me tell you something, you're out there labeling other people as well. Maybe you're out, labeling your kids. This is the outgoing one. This is the introvert. This is the one that never speaks. I remember my parents kind of saying stuff like that. My sister didn't say a whole lot. My brother was the introvert. I was the outgoing one. This is how they did that. And we kind of live up sometimes to those labels or live down to them if the label is negative. So while labels can provide a sense of identity and belonging, they can be restrictive and they can lead to doubt and fear of change. And that's why I want to really address this, because there's science behind these labels. And the first one is confirmation bias. I'm sure you've heard about that. But research shows that once we label ourselves, we tend to seek out that information that confirms what it is that we believe about ourselves. So if you say, I am not a morning person, you might ignore the evidence that suggests otherwise. Like, oh, there's this interesting class. Well, I'm just not a morning person. You dismiss it, even though you could be. You could be if you put in the effort to be so. Or this other idea of self-fulfilling prophecy, which is kind of close to the same thing, but psychologists have been all about this too. And if you're ever been in counseling, they will say this. Oh, well, that's a self-fulfilling prophecy, isn't it? If you believe you can't do it, then you can't. And if you believe you can, then you can. That's a Henry Ford quote, right? So the thing, though, that's interesting with all of this self-fulfilling prophecy stuff is you will give it the exact effort that you think you can give and not a bit more. So those two things greatly influence the way that we label ourselves and what we label others. So keep that in mind. This is really important. And so many times, a lot of people just aren't self-aware enough to even understand that these two things are going on. So how do we break free from this labeling that's putting us in a box and keeping us away from the dreams that we really, really wish to attain? Number one is challenge your labels with evidence. Evidence. Do you remember there was a book, Evidence That Demands a Verdict? It was a Christian book. I can't remember, years and years and years ago, but it was making the case for Jesus. And this is saying, here's the evidence and it demands a verdict. I remember that was one of the big eye openers for me way, way back when. And we always need to be doing this for everything. We need to be looking at the evidence. Are they based on facts or are they based on assumptions? And people do this all the time. These assumption things, they can get really restrictive and they can really, shut people down. And I know a woman in particular who that's what she does with everybody. She makes these assumptions and then she assigns it to you. And that's not fair. You make yourself God and jury? No, can't do that. It's not fair and it's wrong, because you don't have that kind of power. And if you think you do, then you've got a little bit, you've labeled yourself a little bit too high up the food chain, if you know what I mean. So what do we need to do then to kind of break free from this? Well, one of the things that you can do is to take the look at the labels that you put on yourself. Is it true? Is there evidence to support this? Right? And then find the evidence that will contradict, if it's really negative, those things that are just entirely not true as well. And also keep this, and I do this in my journal, keep track of stuff when you say, well, I always thought this, but look, this is what happened. This is what became, this was what became true. So this perceived limit has been lifted then, and your label has been freed. So you know what that does, right? That is rewiring your brain for new possibilities. And that's what we're all about when we can do that. Number 2 is to embrace a growth mindset. And of course, I have the chart, the growth mindset. And this is from that fabulous book. There it is. That fabulous book that Carol Dweck wrote. And it's called Mindset. And it's, do you have a fixed mindset or do you have a growth mindset? And when you can see the contrast between fixed mindsets and growth mindsets, that's when you start to say, you know what? We need to have a little talk here, girlfriend. And when you're talking to yourself, if you are. This book, I read it, I think 2015, I read it, changed my life. It changed what I thought I could do. It changed because I thought everything was already set and that I was stuck with all of this stuff. No, not at all. Because we have the ability and the intelligence to develop a new mindset, to change, to evolve, to become the women of our own dreams. It takes a little hard work. It takes a little dedication. It takes physically, and mentally seeing what it is that we're doing and making that shift into the things that we want instead. So we replace a lot of fixed statements that we use. We have the fixed mindset statements like, I'm not good at this. I can't, I don't understand this. I'll never understand this. I'm just not a tech person. Anyone? But what we can say instead, which shows a growth mindset, is I can learn this. I can grow. I can practice. I can get better. And that changes everything. That's Carol Dweck, by the way. If you haven't read that book, get it. Number 3 is redefine your identity. By the way, this is all based on research. Lots and lots of research behind it. So view yourself, instead of with the rigid labels and stuff, view yourself as somebody who is dynamic, who is evolving, who has the flexibility of mind to be able to see new things, because you are not defined by your past limitations. You are not defined by failure, only if you take it with you and choose that. So remember that flexibility to say, this is not a part of what I want. Maybe you saw that in the past. It's not a part of what I want for today. That doesn't fit into my 2024. That's one of the things that I've been saying. And when you create a new narrative for yourself, what does that do? That focuses on your strengths. That focuses on your potential. That focuses on your growth. And again, what does that do? That brings back evidence which supports those new neural pathways. And then also, please, everyone, have you set your goals for 2024 yet? You need to be doing that. Our goals for 2024 are going to help us to become the women that we want to be. And when we're writing out I ams in the affirmative, intentional way that support these goals, it just happens, doesn't it? It just happens. We're ingraining and creating those new neural pathways. It's amazing what happens. So number 5 is to surround yourself with positivity. Do you have a community that's positive for you? That's sharing with you, that's loving you up, that's saying, go for it, you've got this, you can do it. If you're not, then you need to go find one or be a part of our Hot Milk Sprint group, because that's where you're going to find it. Because when you are surrounded with positivity, then you're going to find yourself engaging with positive self-talk yourself. You get it from people, and you get it from your 3x5 cards. I've got a stack of 3x5 cards around here somewhere. Here they are. Look. A stack. And sometimes I just bring them out. Never discourage anyone who continually makes progress, no matter how slow. I've got stuff here. I am asserting the mastery of my real self. Perfectionism is a delay tactic fancied up to look respectable. And you just, these kind of things, this is how you're training your brain. And you're training your brain into a new label of clarity, of purpose, of an up-leveled, more vibrant way to live your life. And then you also need to start visualizing your success. See yourself. See yourself in this successful way. One of the things that I've always done with my coaching clients is, what do you see 1 year from now? You're walking into a party. What do you look like? What do you feel like? What's in your mind? What have you accomplished? Because when we can start doing that, then we can start planting these new seeds of what is possible. We let go and drop the labels and start thinking about the what ifs and the becomingness of the whole thing. And we can also see ourselves achieving those things that we want. And we can feel the emotions that go with it. It's a movie in our own heads. And then the last thing, of course, I think this is the last thing. I might have more. Do I have more? Nope. Is to take incremental steps with all of this. Because, you need to expose yourself to these new ideas. You need to expose yourself to situations that challenge all of these labels. You need to say, if you're going to say no to these labels, then start looking at what is next for you. Start looking at what is outside of my comfort zone that I can take on as my next project, my next thing. Because every successful step reinforces your ability to transcend all these limitations that you put on yourself with a stupid label, right? With a dumb label. And I know this, that when we have the right mindset, when we have the right ideas, when we have the support, the strategies, we can open ourselves up to the possibility with this intelligent mindset instead of a fixed mindset, and grow and become the women that we are called to become. Living vibrantly, living a life fully bloomed, living a life to your potential, living a life on purpose and for purpose is your calling. And you can't do that if you've restricted yourself with one label after the other. It's time to let it go and to open ourselves up to the possibility of becoming all we can become. Yeah? Who's in with me? Does anybody have some pinkies up for that? I sure do. I appreciate you all. Thank you so much for showing up for me today and being here. If you missed any of the announcements, they're at savingdinner.com/announcements. Show notes will be in tomorrow's newsletter. Do not forget about the over 40 water is going fast. We did an initial run of 250 containers. Go get it. I love it. Just so incredible. Everything else is there on savingdinner.com/announcements. I will see you next week. If you have anything that you need to talk to me about or whatever, I'm easily available at support@savingdinner.com, and I always answer my email. I appreciate you and love you. Take care. Peace be with you. Bye-bye.
Thank you for joining me today. You can find me on TikTok for daily tips to help support your most vibrant life. And remember, you are the author of your own story. Until next time.